thank you for joining me today. I have the honor of sharing this longer video recording with Rebecca McDonald from War International. And I just want to give a disclaimer that the content in this interview is uncomfortable, disturbing, and real. And so please take care in the setting in which you watch or listen to this interview. We advise that there are no small children present. Thank you. Hello, my name is Angela Shallow. I'm the founder of SWAN, Strong Women Arise Network, and today I'm interviewing Rebecca McDonald from War International. And for those of you who don't know, WAR stands for Women at Risk. So thank you for being here. Will you please tell us a little bit about you and what you're doing with War International?
Sure. I am the founder and president, and the passion for being a circle of protection to wounded men, women, and children began at a really early age for me. I had the greatest privilege in the world, even though I grew up in Grand Rapids. At the age of 5, my father, who was a doctor, moved our family to the land of East Pakistan. And except for 6th grade in Wyoming, I spent all my formative years in lands steeped in traditions of the Taliban, of Muslim countries, East Pakistan. By the time I was 14, we had been through 2 wars that we stayed there through so that my father could provide medical care for the Bengali people. And the war at 14 was a civil war where West Pakistan conducted a genocide against East Pakistan and killed 3 million people in 9 months. And my girlfriend was attacked during that time, Bengali girl, and was raped and fought back. And not all Muslim cultures are like this. Do not think I'm saying that, please. But in her particular environment and setting, she did not have the right to fight back. She's property, bought and sold in a marriage contract as a woman. And they told her, you don't have any voice. You have no right to cry out and to fight back. And to give her that message, they poured acid not in her face, as happens to this day, but down her throat to take away her voice forever. And that just burned a hole in my heart. And that and many other opportunities and circumstances set me on a pathway of being the voice of the silence and just wrapping arms of love around them and giving them a safe place to rewrite the story of their lives their own way, at their own pace, day by day, non-sectarian, just allowing anyone to come and start over and have wraparound services, whether it's counseling or stitches or childcare or learning a new skill. And you cannot just rescue a woman, pat her on her head, say, nasty little life, go do something nice. You have to give her a way to support herself. So today, Women at Risk International, WAR, is in 58 countries with over 200 some programs, including the United States of America. And we fight many risk issues: domestic violence, acid attacks, rape, AIDS. But we're most known for our anti-trafficking because of 2 things. Number one, it's the fastest growing arm of crime. It's growing faster than guns and drugs. And it's a huge problem in America and all over the world. And also all our product that are rescued men and women, mostly women, but we do have safe houses for men as well, is made by survivors of trafficking. And so since people shop, they know us for that. But seriously, it is the fastest growing arm of crime. And so it is our major focus. And years ago, I got a call in Grand Rapids, where our international headquarters is here, from Homeland Security. And they were looking for a 6-month-old pay-per-view of a live attack of a 6-month-old that you could sign up to watch. And I learned then that the problem in our own country, in the land of the free, is our babies. American citizens, your daughter, my granddaughter, with constitutional rights, up to 300,000 children, minors a year, are at risk in this nation. We've rescued babies. We've rescued 1 week, 3 week, 6 weeks, 1-year-old, 6-year-olds. We've rescued adult women and children and men and women and children, and just put them in a safe place where they can rewrite the story of their lives and start over. And it's the greatest joy is seeing a person put their life back together and helping them dream again. That's my favorite question, to say, what do you want to be when you grow up? Whether you're 2, 12, 22, or 52. And I had a woman in Grand Rapids say to me, oh, I've learned never to dream. And I said, start now. And so we help them heal and have counseling and wraparound services in trauma-informed ways. And we help them get college degrees if that's what they want. We've graduated doctors and lawyers and school teachers and goat herders and mommies and bakers and candlestick makers, jewelers, obviously, whatever their dream is, and just helping walk that journey of healing. And the good news is, the bad news is we have a serious problem in this country. But the good news is that rescue and aftercare really works. And we have the luxury of hindsight, because I've been working with fighting risk for 38 years as a grown-up. And I have the luxury of looking back and seeing generational change. It's incredible to find and rescue one person and help them rewrite the story of their life and rebuild their life. But when you see a grandmother, a mother, and a granddaughter, all 3 generations headed in a different direction, then you know you've made systemic change. And so a little boy, 4-year-old boy, was brought to us by his mother, who was a minor, who was enslaved against her will and trafficked. And we raised him in an orphanage, and he graduated as an engineer 2 years ago and is raising his siblings. So they will never know the horror that his mother knew. And though that kind of generational change is really what matters. And so just creating a safe place and empowering women to rewrite their story and help them focus on what is it that you want to do with your life, and just helping them walk that journey of healing. Albert Einstein said the world will be destroyed not by evil people, but by good people who see evil and do nothing. And West Michigan's good people. And so my passion is to empower us to be that safe place to those we love and to our own circles, your circle of influence. We're not all called to be Mother Teresa and go start a safe house, but we're all called to be that safe place to those we love and to get our antenna up. And so we do a lot of training. We're licensed in all 50 states to train medical professionals and social workers and military and Fortune 500 companies and civic communities and faith-based communities, anybody who wants to be trained in how to know the signs, how to respond, and how not to respond, and then how to share that in an age-appropriate way. And so we love to share how we rescue in 3 ways, and all our programs and all the products and all of that fall into those 3 categories. And it just helps people kind of wrap their brain around a subject that's difficult. Dr. Martin Luther King said, "Darkness does not drive out darkness, light does." And our goal is just to shed a light on what seems like a very difficult subject, and yet make it very practical and down to earth and not frightening, and help people realize they can make a difference and they can set a captive free, and that there's hope in healing, which truly is amazing. And the magic of Women at Risk International is our incredible survivors who just put their lives back together. They rise up and they do amazing and incredible things. And that's what keeps us going, is the happy endings.
What were those 3 things?
The 3 ways that we rescue?
Yes.
So that will be one of the things I'll share when we do the event. But we rescue curatively. So that's where you go to that person who's actually in captivity and you identify that they're there against their will and you help them out. So those products would be products made in a safe house by a rescued man or woman. So curative programs are programs that address the problem after it's a big problem. And then preventative products. So 2/3 of our program are preventative, because you and I don't want our children to find out about the sewer because they fell in it, right? We want to warn them so that they can avoid it. So women and children who are in the crosshair of the trafficker, or men, like the boy that I mentioned who was brought to us at age 4 and is now an engineer. So preventative programs. So if we hear that a multitude of women are being taught and trained that this is what you have to do with your life, we're going to go back to that village and we're going to take our sewing academy and mushroom farming and cosmetology and preventative programs so they don't end up at our safe houses. And so not just dealing with the problem, that's important, but dealing with the root of the problem and dealing with it systemically so that that whole village learns there's other ways to make a living if that's the issue. And then the third way is supportive. And that's what we're doing. That's giving voice, that's telling the story, that's rising up and either being that circle of protection to those you love, just talking about it. And my passion personally is to be the voice of the silenced. And so just the fact that you're giving them a voice and focusing on people who are marginalized, people who are wounded, people who need not a hand out, but a hand up. We are not just handing them money. We are teaching them to make a living and to put their lives back together. And you can give $25 to a domestic abuse shelter. Bless you. You helped a woman running from death. But when you give it to a domestic abuse shelter that has social enterprise or that is training her how to make a living or how to have a career, you are helping her change, not just solve the problem in the moment and put a Band-Aid on the owie, but you're actually giving her options. And so advocacy really matters, and getting the news out. Years ago, when we started doing this in the U.S., people didn't even know what trafficking was. They thought it was a traffic sign. Now, thanks to Hollywood and Taken and, it being in the news fairly often, people now know what it is, but they still think that it's a foreign problem. And unfortunately, we have a bigger problem domestically in America than we do the foreigners that are brought here, that's also an issue. That the FBI estimates that we have maybe 20,000 foreigners that are brought to this country, and we're the third highest destination country in the world. But that pales into insignificance with 300,000 minors in this country that are at risk every year. And one very important statistic is 60%, a UN study, 60% of all traffickers are women. These are not just some guy, standing in a parking lot kidnapping. In fact, 95% of all trafficking victims think they know their trafficker. This 3% is kidnapping. This is not stranger. This is somebody who you think you know. 1 month, I got a call from Ohio and Michigan where 2 13-year-olds were at home because of COVID doing school online. Their moms were back to work. They thought they were talking to 13-year-olds. They invited them to their front yard, and 3 men came, raped, videoed, and exploited that. It wasn't a 13-year-old. They didn't even have to invite him to McDonald's, where at least there would have been a security camera, right? And so this is a problem that is a wildfire in our country, and our children are the target. So whether a woman is 2, 12, or 22, they are at risk. And traffickers are predators. And it's about money. You sell 100 pounds of any drug and there are real consequences. But you can sell a 100-pound child over and over and over and over and over. And it's just good business. And 2 to 3 women can bring in $500,000 tax-free. So the trafficker is the slave owner, not the buyer and the sold, but the person who's doing the force, coercion, and fraud. They're doing it for the money, and it's a good business, sadly. When Homeland Security does a workshop for us, when we do our 8-hour training days, they say it's the perfect crime. Because if you break a person down and you scare them enough, they'll stand on a street corner and sell themselves and give you the money, and you have deniability. And with drugs, you have to hand them off. You could get caught. And I had a trafficker say, I don't have to beat her. All I have to do is take her out between the ears, and she'll be so afraid of me that I can make her do anything. And so we just have to rise up as women and men in a community and be that safe place and to those we love. And that's really my passion, is to empower civilians, everyday people, every one of us. If I speak to 1,000 people, I could write, I don't care what their careers are, I could write a job description for every one of them and how to be an abolitionist. One happy thought is this. This generation, my son's generation, the high schoolers and the college students and the millennials are born with a passion for anti-slavery. They care about social justice. They care about hunger and homelessness and so many things. I'm one of a few people in my generation that are abolitionists, right? I'm kind of a weirdo. But our children's generation, when they get into positions of power, they are going to deal with this as a generation. And I see that even if I'm in Muslim Morocco. This is a global trait of the generation that's coming behind us. And so even though it's a growing problem, I have great hope for the future because young people know what we're talking about. The parents are deer in the headlights. They're going, what? But the children know. They understand that it's the cool girls at school that are inviting kids to a party they can't drive themselves home from. Shauna Newell, 14-year-old, goes to a party in Pensacola, Florida. Look it up on MSNBC, and was sold for $300,000 on the internet, recruited by a girl. And so our goal is to just create safe places and give people practical, hands-on ways to make a difference in the life of those who they love. We do have a 911 number, our own 1-877-END-SLAVERY. And that number, we get all kinds of calls there where we help rescue people and give advice and help coach people. And so our passion is just to help our community be that safest place on earth and be that place that allows our children and those we love to grow up and dream and be safe.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. As SWAN, we are a women's empowerment group, and we want to empower women to be aware of these challenges that we're facing in our own communities. And I mean, honestly, I was unaware it was happening locally until quite recently. And so we want to be a part of the solution, helping to watch out for that. And as we are working to empower each other, we really want to have a greater reach beyond our own community, but to women around the world. And so that's why I wanted to partner with you and WAR when we're doing our conference. So we're donating a portion of all of the proceeds to your efforts and what you're doing to help with those three things of preventing, supporting, and curing from human trafficking. So thank you so much for everything you're doing. And if you are interested in learning more about what we have coming up with our SWAN conference and hearing from Rebecca McDonald and these three aspects of the preventative, curative, and supportive care from human trafficking, we will have all the links that you need in the show notes and in the body of the post. And the conference again is coming up Friday, October 7th, and it is a fundraiser for the war effort, so please come and participate. We're actually despite having the one really heavy topic, we are going to have a really fun, powerful, and just incredible day with shopping and food and networking. A great time to be had. Thank you.